Hey everyone, happy day before 4th of July. I am so excited about this. And so, first of all, I always want to know, are you watching Live or Memorex? If you know what Memorex is, we really need to talk about collagen and omegas and some stuff like that. Anyway, so I would love to know what y'all are doing tomorrow. What are you cooking? Where are you going? How are you celebrating? All the things, okay? So I am going to, here in a little bit, as soon as she comes on, I am going to bring Kelley on, and I see Kelley watching. And so let me see if I can just do this before I keep talking. Hang on a second. It's not giving me to, yeah, maybe it is. Sending an invite. Hey, April, see you watching as well. I see if Kelley, oh, that was super simple.
That was super simple for me too. I gotta move this down a little bit. It never has been that easy.
I know that was super easy. I neglected to tell you that when I'm doing a Facebook interview and I've started it, I literally can barely hear what you're saying. So if I look like I'm doing this, it's because I can't hear you. But we're here for them to hear you and they can hear you. So that's all that matters at the end of the day. Hey, Kara.
Okay.
So I was just asking, hey, April. Oh, it's so good to meet you the other day. And so April was actually at Cora's house the other day. I met her in person for the first time. And so I am so excited. Kelley, I saw something today. I shared your picture the other day on our success group, right? And I thought, I think I'm going to interview her if she could. So thank you for this. And I do want to know what y'all are doing for 4th of July. I will tell you, it's 100 and something here in Texas, and I do have a swimsuit on. And Kelley, does this look familiar?
Oh my goodness. Do you that was the best trip, but do you know they're getting hit by a hurricane?
They are getting hit by a hurricane right now, so
Oh
we
my,
need to be praying for all of
right.
that, and as it comes into some of even southern Texas and things. So anyway, well, I don't want to keep everybody a long time. I know people, they're like prepping their potato salad for tomorrow, all the kind of stuff. Anyway, but I've really been watching your story for a while, and even I saw the pictures. I don't even remember the first time I saw your pictures, honestly. It was well before um I saw you in Jamaica. Like it was probably a year ago. And I asked, as I always say, who is that? What did she use? Because I never share anything that I don't know for a fact. Like I want to know, because if they say, well, can you tell me about her? Like she's about my age. That's kind of like that's the part of the story that's really like hitting me home. And I'm like, okay. So I only share things that I can go back and say, this is exactly what I know about Kelley. So I asked Cora, and she said, oh my gosh, you know how that is. So we're going to start from the very beginning. And y'all, Kelley is in elementary education.
Yeah.
Lord knows I was never called to be in education or nursing. Let me just tell you, it's a hard no. And my good friend Carol Short that's watching will say it's a hard no for both of us. And so you're I think fairly much a lifetime educator, but at some point in time, something was going on that you decided to make a change. So will you take us back to before you found this and just lay it out there for them?
Okay, well, spent my life being a yo-yo dieter. And so I would do all the fad diets, lose weight, and then gain weight. There was a day I was 132 pounds. Of course, that was back in high school, but I thought I was obese then. So I've always had an unhealthy relationship with weight and food and all of that. So I had gotten up to about 270 something, and I started once again juicing because I thought I needed to lose weight. It was getting scary. Um, and I'm an emotional eater. I should probably just tell you that.
Yeah.
And so, on a good day, you deserve a reward. And on a bad day, you want something to feel good. And so that was happening. Then I lost my dad. It was unexpected. It wasn't supposed to happen that way. And there was about 2 months of ups and downs. And let me just say, he is my hero and battled with his weight and diabetes his whole life. And losing him was more than I could handle. I didn't handle it well. Trying to navigate life without him when I was constantly talking to him and, him not being there, that set me on a spiral and I was gaining weight. And I just didn't care, Jana. I had gotten to the point where I stopped looking in the mirror and, I just layer on the clothes thinking that was going to help, but we know it doesn't. And, I was in a really bad place and, hiding it behind a smile. And anyone that knew me, they didn't even have a clue because, I'm a teacher. I have to be on all day long. You have to just smile and fake it,
Mhm.
you know? And then I got COVID. And while I was juicing, I got COVID, ended up in the emergency room, went at 2:30 in the morning by ambulance and, waited to the last minute to go because I didn't want to get on that scale. It sounds crazy, but going to a doctor when you're overweight and knowing they're going to weigh you is something I avoid at all cost. But I ended up going, and the funny thing is, when I was in the ambulance, I could barely breathe. I was not
Yep.
talking well, not walking, and all I could think is, "Ha, I'm not getting weighed." So that's so crazy. But so I spent a couple days at the hospital. They were going to put me on a ventilator. They gave me a cancer infusion treatment that saved my life. But while I was there, they told me, the doctor looked right at me and he said, "Your weight is killing you." That's a hard thing to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just ran through my head over and over again. Um, I got to go home 2 days later. My husband brought me home, and we had 16 stairs going up to our house, and then from the side, and 5 in the front. And he was struggling with how to get me inside. Something else that, same thing that my mom dealt with my dad, but this time it was me.
Yeah.
Um, so for 3 months, I sat on the couch eating specific things. I slept on the couch. I didn't get off the couch. I was on the couch for 3 months straight. I missed the last 26 days of school. I was on the couch the whole summer. I had 10 prescriptions that he was feeding me and the exact foods that the doctor said that I needed to eat for potassium and different things. I gained 30 pounds sitting on that couch.
So your weight
So
was killing you, but now you're getting bigger
I'm getting
and
bigger.
everything. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna just stop you for just a minute because I didn't want to stop you while you were saying all that stuff. Kelley, that's the stuff is people like they don't realize the internal baggage that's going on with issues like that and the things that people avoid and people like you putting on a smile and doing their job and just literally and figuratively dying inside.
Dying
So
inside.
I love your transparency, and I know that's hard, and we're not going to talk about losing your dad because we're going to get off on a tangent. And we're both going to cry, and so
Yeah.
we're going to keep going on. My condolences. My heart goes out to you.
Thank you. So I'm on the couch trying to, you know, live, and I was scrolling through Facebook and I found a friend from high school that was posting about all these people losing weight. And, as soon as I saw it, I was like, this isn't real. This isn't real. But I was desperate.
Yeah.
And, I just thought, what if? What if? um and so she sent me some information, and I got the what I wanted to do, and the amount of money that it was, and it was an investment for sure, you know what I mean? And you have to think, you can invest in your health or you can invest in paying the doctor bills, because I had a
Right.
fortune in doctor bills at this point.
Exactly.
And so, I waited a little while because I thought, we're on a budget, and I thought, that's a lot of money and it's my fault that I'm this way, and it's not fair for my family to suffer. And I told everybody I was doing this program because I thought it would hold me accountable. You know what I mean? I would have to stick to it.
Absolutely.
And
I'm going to stop you for just another minute. You told me something earlier when we were talking about reaching out to the high school friend. And that was another very vulnerable moment because that's a lot that's holding people back is they're afraid to reach out to this person that they see on social media. They're afraid to reach out to somebody that only knew them before the divorce or before the death or when they were at their peak weight at 16 years old, whatever it is, and
Mhm.
or they don't know that they're struggling with mental health and gut issues. I had a very beautiful woman say, "You have no idea how bad my gut is, and you would never ever guess it." Striking, model striking. She was embarrassed to tell me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's huge, what you said earlier to me about reaching out to that person, but you found them on social media. You had not seen them in a hot minute. So I love that because here we are right here on social media.
Well, and that you're right. It was hard. I mean, the last time she saw me, I was that 132-pound girl. I mean, I wasn't really on social media. So, no one really saw except for the people up here.
Yep.
And, still didn't know that I was in that dark place. They didn't know. I hid it. You hide it. And to ask for help is you have to, it's very vulnerable. That was probably the hardest part, to
Yeah.
be honest, was to ask.
It's what's keeping a lot of people. So,
Hmm.
but you found it.
Hmm.
And then the rest of the story is completely different than the beginning of the story.
Oh yeah. So I waited a couple months, and Steve one day said, "Kelley, you keep talking about this program. Why aren't you doing it?" And I said, "Well, it's an investment." And he said, "Aren't you worth it?" And I looked at him, and I of course didn't want to say no, I don't feel like it, but I didn't feel like it. And I said, "Yeah, yeah." And I sat down and I bought it, and you know learned that I was worth it. So because when you're at that point, you know is you did this to yourself. And as a single mom for so many years, that you stop taking care of you and you take care of your kids. So I just gave up.
Well, I'm glad that you were scrolling Facebook from your couch and found this and all your results. Lay it all out. What have you lost? What have you gained? What have you found? And when my thing, you know what my thing is, right? Your story can be the key that unlocks somebody's
Oh
prison.
yeah.
And it makes me a little emotional thinking about the fact of where would you be if somebody had not been sharing on Facebook? And there are a
Yes.
lot of people, they're afraid to share that they're doing because what will people think? And what if I invite them to a testimony page and they weigh, 120, but what if they weigh 300? I just think everybody should be on these products. No, they're
Oh, I
not
do
just weight
too.
loss. My best friend and first person was a sleep skinny girl. She couldn't sleep, skinny girl. And so I think a lot of people go, or they don't want to put their story out there. They're going to wait until they get to their end goal.
That's right.
And like, if people did that, so are you going to wait 3 years for somebody to find this? Because it may take you 3 years to lose 150 pounds or, whatever it is, or 30 pounds on average, 10 pounds a month. That's my own math, not the company math. But anyway, so I'm so glad. And then so you found a whole lot of things, and it's not just the weight. You've gained as much as you've lost.
Oh, I gained my life back for sure.
Yep.
114 pounds down. I mean, I'm a new person, and I my mindset, I work on that every day. And as far as telling your story, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to get on here, but you know who my coach is, Cora, who I
Yes.
love.
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh,
love
I
to
know.
pieces. And she's like, "Kelley." And then at the same time, I told you that, my husband owned his own semi. And, I was asked, "Do you want to do the business side?" I'm like, "No, no way. No."
Same. No.
I don't have time for that. I commute a minimum of 3 hours a day, and mentor teachers, and that I work with. And I didn't have time. I didn't at all. But sometimes you're forced, I think God forces you in a direction that you should have found for yourself. And I'd
For sure.
lost 35 pounds. I was 2 months in, and my husband's semi broke down. We couldn't find the part to fix it. And so I knew I wasn't going to finish my journey, and I had a long way to go. And at the same time, it just so happened a lot of people were asking me what I was doing. And we just went from there. Now I've changed. Now I'm vacationing, and I get paid daily. I don't know if you know this, but teachers get paid once a month here in Georgia. And that's hard. That is so
Oh
hard.
my gosh.
So,
So incredible. And I'm trying to think back. I was trying to think the first time that I actually met you in person. I'd met you before Jamaica, but I do remember you being there in Jamaica. And that's one reason why I was like, oh, it's interesting. I didn't plan this, but I have our Jamaica,
I love that.
one of our pieces of swag. And that was the best bag that we've ever gotten. And we've gotten some really good stuff. That was my 22nd earned trip. And I couldn't afford the products when I started, and I ordered a very base level amount of products, didn't open them for 2 months, right? And I never wanted to do the business. And I also, when I started out, like I was just going, I just need to lose some weight, blah, blah, blah. And I was not open to the concept of being well. I'd been working with doctors for 15 years with migraines and allergies, and I continued to have migraines and allergies no matter what I was on. I was on 4 medicines, and I've not struggled with those things in almost 9 years now. And so people just don't know what it's like when you get something in your body that synergistically, in a natural way, starts redirecting it. And then I believe one of the things that helps expedite a journey is becoming a partner.
Oh,
Like you
yes.
said, when this happened with your husband, like that was going to take out the teacher budget, and nobody's in education to get rich.
And,
Most people are not in education to even be able to pay the house off. You know what I mean? I mean,
oh,
it's like
yeah.
it's a calling and things like that. And it's not easy. And it's, Debbie Hanks, I know she's watching. She was in education and she started, she's done great. You saw her there in Jamaica. You've probably seen her several times.
Mhm.
She just could not continue after that year of COVID. It was so hard on nurses and so hard on educators. And so she had to get out, and she had gained about 20 pounds without loss and without all this. She was just miserable from not being able to be who she was as
Mhm.
an educator. And so, like, people way underestimate. And then, she had started with me years ago, but Kelley, she quit within 30 days. Her mind wasn't right, just where they were at. Like, it wasn't the right time. And we never even talked about being a partner. And now she came back and she's earned what, one, two, three, four, five trips. She and her husband have
Wow.
lost 40, 50 pounds each, kept it off. He's off his diabetic meds, all kinds of stuff. And so, but if I hadn't been consistent on social media, I'd not seen her in years and years and years. So I always commend people like you for sharing, because it's the only way that other people find stuff. And
That's
I
right.
know you are grateful that somebody was sharing on social media that day when you're on your couch, because I told somebody, I said, I've said this a long time ago, if your trajectory is you've gained 20 pounds in the last 12 months and you do nothing different, your trajectory is that you gain 40 next year.
That's right.
So imagine where you would be
That's right. Well, and
with where,
it's a,
imagine if someone had not have done that. Girl, that is like, if you don't say the words, somebody's story could be the key to unlock somebody's prison. Of many of the people I've met, you darn sure need to understand that, because that's literally what happened to you, and now you're paying it forward. So you blew me away today. I knew your story, but I didn't know the what brought you to it part. And that's the part that people see themselves. That's
exactly.
the part that they go, oh my gosh, I don't go anywhere with my friends. Oh my gosh, I don't go on, what are those things called? Oh, oh, where you fly on the little rope. I've
Oh,
done it several times at
behind the boat.
Sundance. Yeah, we weigh because they weigh you.
Oh, oh,
So,
yeah.
like, literally, people don't do, because they're like, but what if I'm 2 pounds over? And now everybody that's with me is going to know that I weigh over 250 pounds or whatever. So they just make excuses to not do stuff.
Yes.
And I know you talked about, making an excuse. Zip line. Yes, thank you, Kelsey. Ding, 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 ding. So I know you were like in your mind, but if you think back how many things you didn't do and you pawned it off as another reason,
Mhm.
right?
Oh, yeah.
That's literally what people are doing. And I'm so glad that you were just willing to take your time today to get on here and share. And I hope people tag their friends on this video. I mean, it's public and stuff like that, because there's someone, and she may only need to lose 30 pounds,
Mhm.
or she may be thin, but you're feeling like she's kind of retreated a little bit from life. There's something going on with her health. There's something going on. So I love how transparent you were about what brought you to this, because that's the stuff that people, it's what they need to hear. And it's also literally what's keeping them from messaging one of us, people that have been watching us, and saying, I'm ready. It's exactly what you talked about. They're just ashamed to message.
Yes.
So I
But do it.
love that.
Do it because your whole life will change.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well,
You
I am
gotta
so glad we
live.
could do this. And I will see you in
Oh,
Dallas
yes.
in October.
And Cancun.
Last thing I'll ask you, I know you've been on some trips with, ask community, especially as we've gone through these last 4 years. Number one thing you've learned from this community that's not weight, not income, nothing related, just sheer community. What would you say?
You know what? I think the main thing with this whole community is the fact that it doesn't matter what level you're at. It doesn't matter. Everybody is treated equally. And when I first met you in the Founders Club room, I hadn't earned Jamaica yet, but I knew I was going to. But you came up, you talked to me just like I felt like the small person, when I first got there. But by the time it was over, I didn't, because everybody treats you just like you're walking on a red carpet. And Cora told me that.
Yeah,
And I knew that. But I mean, just it was fabulous. I mean, the family environment, who doesn't need that? And people to lift you up. That's why I've been successful, was it, because of that.
I love it. I love that you said that. We both had the same blood pumping through our
Mhm.
veins. We both had the same. Sometimes we hurt, sometimes we're happy, sometimes it goes our way, sometimes it doesn't. But one of my biggest prayers, and what I've seen through this, is that no one walks into a room and there's no one better or worse than anyone else. I've never been in a room other than Xyngular that's not the case. Not in any room have I ever been in my life that I felt that was true. And most rooms I felt like I was never wanted in my whole life. My whole life, and I'm 55 years old now. So I love that you said that, because that's one of the first things I saw too. So
Mhm.
I'll let you go. And I am so glad that so many people tuned in. I saw some of my favorite, some of my little favorite newbies watching and stuff like that. And then some people I've known for, because some of them are older than me. Like Debbie's 2 days older, and then Carol's like ages older than me. So I've known these people for a long time. Thank you so much, Kelley.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon, girl. Bye.
Bye.